Hey everybody, I hope you're all well today. I'm a friendly tree and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Nina Williams in Depth. Today we're going to talk about Nina's Stinger Heel combo, or as someone described it, it's like a budget version of Lily's down forward 3 into a neat little kick afterwards. As always, let's make sure the settings are how we want them before we start. So we're setting it up like that. We'll go default. Probably remove the health gauge. Less clutter is always good. Good. Alright. Stinger heel combo. So why is it called this? I'm guessing it's to do with some of the animation. Not many people call it this. So Stinger heel kick combo, number 61. Not many people really call it by its full name. People just refer to it as back 3-4. So back 3-4, you can tell it's a back left kick, followed by a right kick. So it's a mid and then a high, and you can see that high sort of tracks around pretty well. The mid is sort of an overhead knee. It's kind of like an X kick, isn't it? Or a budget version of Lily's down forward 3. I like it. Okay, so damage-wise, it does 27 damage. It's a natural combo mid-high with a huge confirm window. If I'm correct, it's 17 frames. Startup is 18 frame, you see the first hit, 18 frame, 1 active frame, second hit is 20 frame, 2 active frames. So it's, on knockdown, it's either plus 19 or plus 20, but it's very rare, very rare to see the second active frame actually connect on the second hit. It's usually the first active frame. The other things about this, so the first hit, plus 6 on hit, and forces the opponent to crouch. So if you think about your frame data, if you compare it to some of our other tools, this is a lower damage, but a better version of some of these in some regards. So that's pretty good. But if we look at things on block, so it's -6, -8 on block. And of course, even though it's a natural combo, it does not jail, meaning if the opponent blocks the first hit, they can duck the second. Counter hit properties. So no change if it's counter hit on the first hit, except a little bit of extra damage to the first hit for counter hit properties. Second hit is a launcher. Second hit launches in a similar fashion to forward 3. You'll notice the stun's quite similar, and it means you can do things like that. So you can get the same side axis combo into the guaranteed spike afterwards, or guaranteed forward 1+2 from the spike because it's a side bounce. Other things we need to know about this move. Let's talk about the range. So this is our reset position where at roughly distance 2, it reaches. If I dash back a smidgen, it whiffs. So really, under range 2, you're just under range 2 is the range of this move, which is not very good. When you compare it to even like her down forward 1, it's about the same range as a down forward 1, and that's not very good at all, is it? For what it is, considering it's 5 frames slower. So it doesn't have much range. The second hit has a bit more range, but it's still not great. And this isn't really a tool that you'd be looking at doing the first hit and then throwing out the second anyway. Okay, what about tracking? So if we put the opponent to... we'll go guard all, sidestep left. So you'll see that the first hit's very linear. On that +1, they can step it both directions. The second hit will catch them stepping both ways. There may be, some characters may have evasive properties that can make this whiff, because, it is a high second hit. But you see the first hit's very linear, the second hit, it kind of catches both directions. Now, when we get to +8 frames, that's when it's no longer steppable. So if you do something that leaves you +8, such as a jab on hit or a forward 2 on hit, they can no longer step the back 3. So that's that sort of threatening situation where you've got a pretty good mix-up. And of course that's also going to trade with jabs. So if I go like that, yeah, you can see I'm at -11 there. So that's one of the moves that actually puts her in, I guess, a better position. Can we So we recover crouching then, which means probably all that Nina's going to get is a down 1. No, okay, so that whiffs. So she doesn't get anything guaranteed off it, but it's good frame advantage. So it's a good move to throw out when you're at that high advantage to get a trade, isn't it? Okay, what else can we talk about with it? Property-wise, so we've talked about the tracking. So if you're less than +8, it can be stepped in either direction. I should demonstrate that, shouldn't I? So +7 here, they can step in either direction. Oops. Yeah. So at +8 is when they start struggling, and that's when 10 frames will trade with it. So that's pretty good. What else can we say? It gives a knockdown on hit, which gives some interesting things. So anywhere you are, forward 1+2 is guaranteed. So that's a non-charged version. And you'll see that'll beat anything they do. You can also do other OTGs. So forward 3 if you do a deep delay, but the timing can be a bit tough there for it to be guaranteed. So make sure you get used to the timing or use forward 1+2. I believe the quarter circle forward 3 is also guaranteed, yes. And you can use it for Oki as well in that situation, but we'll get to that soon. The other properties I need to talk about, so if you use it in a combo, the first hit spikes. So that means they cannot tech roll, they cannot do anything after it, and they cannot quick back roll like with a bounce. So there they just fall down, opposed to something like this. But because it's 18 frame, because the range is pretty poor and it knocks them quite a way back, it's not really worth using over something else. You're losing damage if you do it too. Yeah. So although it has that spiking property, people don't really use it for that. You can get the second hit to connect on the wall, and that will cause a wall break. But once again, if you're looking at doing a wall break, 27 damage while 30 damage in a single hit. So yeah, you've got much better options you can use there as well. But it is a potential move you can use for a wall break if you want. Although it's also quite consistent because the second hit might not connect too well. The knockback you can see is pretty far. But if you go off axis on either directions, you'll notice the character falls back in a different way and keeps you close. You can get a lot of different things here. But we'll go into that in a little bit more detail in the application. Alright, I think that's everything we want to talk about with the properties of the move. So let's go on to application. Okay, so how do we use this move? First off, let's talk about probably the best property of this move, and that's the fact that it's a hit confirm. So I've got them set on random guard. If we go like this, we've got such a long amount of time to confirm the move, and don't do that. So it's not a twitch confirm, it's 17 frames where you can actually confirm the hit and do it. So that's probably the best application of this move. And of course, to do this you want to get at a high frame advantage. So things like forward 2 or 1 on hit were examples I used before, because that means they can no longer step it. If we go backdash, I forgot to demonstrate backdash. So that's the weakness there. But oops. Doing it after a sidestep 1 can be a good option. Although you are probably going to find that they can still step this, depending on how fast you go. Okay, I wouldn't trust the AI here, but as long as you're doing it fast enough for it to reach. Oops. Yeah. And by the way, you can't just do it as a back sway, because you can't do it early enough because a while standing 3 will come out, so you have to do a proper cancel. But that's probably the best scenario you can set it up to do it, because it's a safe mid hit confirm. Even if you don't confirm it, you've got them crouching at +6. So that's the next thing we need to talk about. So using it as a hit confirm and using it as a mix-up tool it's godlike as long as you're in range, and that's its biggest weakness, I reckon. It's range and how linear it is. It's range both in a lateral and horizontal direction. Yeah, but if you can confirm it, it's fantastic. Now, the other thing, of course, is you can leave it on the first hit at +6 with them crouching, meaning the fastest move they can do is a dick jab, and you can do a 16 frame move to trade. If they do it while standing 4, you can do a 17 frame move to trade. So, for example, this is a good chance for you to use things like a down 3, because if they do anything, if they try and trade, you get that. I don't even know the frames here. Let's look at this. Sorry. Oh, wrong move. Ah! God, you guys just come to hear me yell like that, don't you? I would. Alright, need to be hit. Okay, so neutral. So not really worth it. Okay, but you can do things that are 15 frames or faster, and it'll be guaranteed. So, like, oops, right. I tried to buffer. So that if I do that and I try and press anything, I'll get hit by that. And that can also expand to doing down forward 2, because while I recover crouching, if I press a button I'll get counter hit launched. But if I block low, so if someone tries to challenge, you counter hit launch them. If they block low, unfortunately you won't launch, but you can think of that as a counter hit launcher there. Or you could even use like down forward 1+2, because that'll beat anything they do too, and that gets you into another mix up there, doesn't it? Well, you're only at +2 if you trade there, but hey, that's still something, isn't it? And people won't know those frames. I didn't. So you can definitely use the first move if you're in range to establish a mix up without even needing to confirm. And then if you can confirm, you've got a free knockdown anyway. Alright, so I think that's probably the best use of the move, is just trying to establish that frame, and you use it as a hit confirm as part of a 50-50. Obviously you got things like up forward 2-1, which it's still pretty low risk and high reward, but you don't have that hit confirm potential. So this is still a good move. It's just made a little bit less relevant because of other moves. The next thing I want to talk about is, of course, the side axis combos. So if I go to the left here, then the opponent doesn't go flying as far away, I can pick up with a lot of different moves. So the easiest option here is down 3-4-3, and that'll work off axis on either side, whoops, as long as you're the right level off axis. So the strength in that, of course, is if you do it off like a sidestep 1, you get these different options. But of course, if we get this, we can get more. That unfortunately doesn't work on smaller characters or medium-sized characters, but you can get it on larger characters. I'll do a demonstration in a moment. So generally what you want to do is just down 3-4-3, or you could do down 3-2, down 4. Well, that does work, I swear, but it's not really worth it. If you get the axis right, that works. Otherwise, I think you've got to do like a micro dash. Yeah. Anyway, it's better if you sidestep left into this. You've got more consistent options. Yeah. Anyway, you generally want to just do down 3-4. And with the down 3-4 as well, this can, if you get this, it's sort of a safe confirm that you can do into anything you want, including rage art. So if you get that down 3-4, you got a rage art there, and that'll connect. Obviously, if you're on the other side, I say obviously, but no, I need to demonstrate. If you're on the other side, because you're so off axis, it won't work. So keep that in mind. So that's what you get against pretty much all of the cast. If you're off axis here, mid-screen. If we go to another character, if if you go Gigas or Marduk, you go about that size. Farkamrim, it's not the case unfortunately, but Farkamrim has a few other inconsistencies. No, it is the case, sorry. Farkamrim and Jack, it's also the case. So Jack, Gigas, Marduk, and Farkamrim, you've got this situation here. Okay, so if I sidestep right, down 3-4-3 will whiff, unfortunately. But if I sidestep left, that'll connect without a micro dash or anything, except for after the down 3-4. So down 3-4, micro dash down 4-1, then down 2-3, run up whatever ender you want. So that'll work against the bigger characters, Marduk, Gigas, Jack, and Farkamrim. Now you might notice I didn't mention the bears there. Oh, that didn't connect. I didn't mention the bears because if you want to have a fun time, if you want to... Hold on, no, this works against Marduk too. Sorry guys, I almost forgot. If you want to bully Marduk, or the bears, you can actually get a down 4-1 to connect mid-screen if you're off axis. This is more combo video stuff because the chance of you getting it to work in a real match is pretty low on Marduk, in my opinion, just because getting off axis to do this... Oh, come on. I swear it works against Marduk, I labbed it. Making me look like a liar, Marduk. Why you do this? Oh. I swore it worked against Marduk. It's not the other way, is it? No, definitely not. It's this way. Yeah, Marduk just wanted to make me look like a liar today. No, too far. Come on. There we go. So it works against Marduk, but it's super inconsistent. Or at least it's very hard to set up properly. But then if we go to Kuma, this is where you get to be a real bully. So while with the larger characters, down 3-4-3 won't work if you sidestep right first, with Kuma and Panda, it still works both ways. Oh god, come on. Can't even sidestep. That still works both ways. But even worse for them, down 4-1 is a consistent pickup if you're either axis here. Which means you can get that. So if you go to the right, and you're off axis and get the bears, and you hit this, look at that damage. You get 86 damage. Okay. So let's now think about what other things we can do. So I talked about the Oki of using the move itself. I've talked about the combos afterwards. The next thing we need to go on to is what about what you can do after the knockdown. So let's attack Lars. He was our nemesis or something, wasn't he? He was an opponent character in Tekken 6. So after you knock down, I mentioned that this is guaranteed. And this is guaranteed, among other things. But let's look at some better reasons of why to use each. So if we get to do a get up mid kick, for example, forward 3 can counter hit launch them. So forward 3 can be a great option to use when you're mid screen, but not near a wall. Now why not near a wall? Because if we're near a wall, we get a wall bounce. And that'll work. The wall bounce will work if they try and get up in any way at all. So not just if they do an attack. It might, I think if they just stand up, it hits them backward. Am I right there? Yeah, it hits them backward. So you can remember that. You can tell it might hit them backward, so you might have to adjust your combo accordingly. But you can get a wall bounce if you do that and they try and get up in any way. So it's smart for them to stay grounded. And there's another reason why they need to stay grounded, which I'll demonstrate now. If we... I don't know, we'll go wake up backward. If we do this, run up Geyser Cannon, this is actually going to be guaranteed. If they get up in any way, this is guaranteed. The only way they can beat this is if they stay grounded, which is the smart thing to do, but gives you a free forward foot 1+2 or forward foot 3. If you know they're going to do it, you can do a fully charged forward foot 1+2 for more damage. If they just stand up, it's the same as the forward foot 1+2. You'll hit them backwards. But even though you're hitting them front on the other way, it's still guaranteed. You'll find if you just try and hold back to get up, it'll still work. I'll demonstrate with guard all here at the very least. Yeah. Yeah, so that's some good Oki you can use there. Now, let's go to the wall. Well, it's some good Oki you can use. A few options you can think about. So, forward 3, if you're not near the wall, is a pretty good option in my opinion. Forward 1+2, if you want that little bit more damage, if you don't think they're going to press a button, or if you're near a wall. And then if you think they're going to try and get up in any way, you can do a geyser cannon, which they can avoid by just staying on the ground. Now if we go near the wall, and back in Season 1, this wall splat by the way, meaning optimal stuff was that into a wall splat. Unfortunately it doesn't anymore, so that's a real shame, isn't it? But we still get that. Oh, crazy wall. And obviously if we, man, obviously is the word of the day for me, isn't it? So if we go here, we get a wall bounce. Yeah, you get the idea. Whoops, don't charge it everyone. Listen to me. Do as I say, not as I do. Yeah, anyway, you get the idea there. So, it's no longer a wall splat, which is a shame, because that was the biggest strength of the move. But I've demonstrated to you how it's better away from the wall now, because before it just gave a knockdown, which I guess was similar to a forward 3. So it's kind of been replaced. Forward 3 and back 3/4 used to have similar properties. It was both 2-hit strings, but one was high, one was mid-high, and one had more range and was faster. So I'd rather keep forward 3 as it is, opposed to losing back 3/4. Well, opposed to keeping back 3/4 and losing its new changes. So when we're by the wall, back 3/4 on the side still does the same thing. You can still pick up for a down 3/4-3. But the interesting thing now is they don't have to be off axis. So if you've got the wall to your left, you can get a down 3/4-3 or whatever you want. If you're like this, you can obviously, that is my saying of the day. If you get down to the wall to the left, you can do other little combos like I was demonstrating before. You can try and get a resplat. So you can do lots of different things at the wall. So it does still have its strength at the wall, but it's not as strong as it was. So how can we apply it at the wall instead? How can we use it with its new properties at the wall? Because it still gives us a wall splat, essentially. I mean, and that'll floor break. That's a lot of damage if you get that off a hit confirmable mid, isn't it? So, if we set them like this, quick roll left. Let's say I do a combo, I go like that. Obviously I'd confirm it, but we're not confirming today. Too lazy. Okay, well you get the idea there. So, just off a normal combo, if they tech, they still get hit by it. And yeah, that won't work on Lars. But you can still push to the wall with it. They tech right. Whoops. That's what I thought would happen. Yep. So you still can use it even after a forward 1+2. So you can see it can actually be used for Oki after the more damaging wall hits. So you can do, well, okay, nice little whiff, Nina. You can see how that would be a lot more threatening in the past, but you've got down forward 3, forward 4 for that still, so it's okay. You can use it in other situations too. Like if you want to consistently get them near the wall, then let's say sidestep left, or pretty sure this still works. Yeah, then you get a wall splat. So you can do smaller enders. Oops. And still get that kind of mix up. So that one you won't. But if you do, alright. I think in that scenario you got to do the sidestep before, like there, and then another sidestep. Okay, so it catches them anyway. But you see how there are different ways you can use it. So it's actually a good option just to use after her basic stuff. Obviously it loses to them staying grounded, but it's so hit confirmable that it's not like you need to throw out the second hit. So you're not going to be going like that. You're leaving yourself open, but you can go like that. And you know, the worst you'll eat is maybe a spring kick if they time it right, but you're getting that huge opportunity. The other way you can use it here, of course, is you can use it into from the sidestep ones, which is like I talked about before. So, yeah. So you can see how the potential to use it as part of a sidestep 1 mix-up is pretty valid. Not as scary as it was before at the wall, but you got other tools for that, that's okay. So I think what they've done is they've just made it a better tool to use mid-screen, which is where she needed better tools. And it's still very strong even as it is. I mean, any move with a 17 frame hit confirm, great. So okay, I think that's everything I want to talk about with the application of b+3. I guess it's time for us to go into the summary. Let's swap back to Nina, let's swap back to the stage we were at before. So Nina's Stinger Heel Kick combo, b+3, the notation, and generally just called b+3, is a mid-high 18 frame then 20 frame move, doing 27 damage on normal hit, causing a knockdown with guaranteed follow-ups and strong Oki afterwards. I would consider it her easiest hit confirm in the game, but you've got to be careful to hit confirm it because even though the second hit is a highly rewarding counter hit launcher, it is a high, so you can be ducked and launched. The first hit forces crouch and is +6 while also being -6 on block. The second hit is -8. However, like I said, it's duckable, the string will not jail, so you do not want to be throwing out that second hit on its own. The first hit's very linear, unfortunately, and unless you're at +8 or greater, the opponent can step it in either direction. So it's best used after you've established some kind of frame advantage, or in a situation where you do not anticipate the opponent to sidestep either way. It can also be backdashed, so you need to look at the opponent's defensive actions to decide when you're going to use this move. And with that in mind, it can be very strong at the wall in a situation where they cannot step or backdash it. It used to wall splat, but it doesn't anymore, but the knockdown is more than welcome as it makes it stronger mid-screen. The first hit can spike, the second hit can wall break, and pretty much I just think it's amazing as a hit confirm. Off axis, it gives you mini combos or bigger combos depending on the character, and you just need to find what's consistent against what character, as some things work differently on different characters, most notably the bears off axis, getting a full tailspin combo very easily with down 4-1 picking up, and Marduk very inconsistently having the same thing, although the bigger characters such as Jack, Gigas, Marduk and Farkamram can also get the off-axis down 3-4, dash down 4-1, down 2-3 into a tailspin, meaning it can work as a combo mid-screen against these characters. It can be used not only to create Oki and for frame traps, but it can be used as part of an Oki situation, being an 18 frame, very hit confirmable mid that knocks down. It's very favourable to use this move as long as you're in the range and in a situation where the opponent can't avoid it and punish you for it. What do you think about this move? Do you use it often? Do you prefer how it was in Season 1, or do you like how they changed it from Season 2 onwards? Please comment below how you use this move. Do you use it in your moveset, or do you prefer to use the higher risk, slightly higher risk, higher reward upfoot 2-1, which is not really hit confirmable, but it's the same speed for much more reward. Both are valid, and I think it just depends on the situation. Anyway, thank you very much for checking out this video, everyone. Please like and subscribe. I'm really grateful for all the support I'm getting, and stay tuned for another video soon. Catch you next time.
You win.
What's done is done.